All right. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. I see we have a couple of folks in the waiting room, so we are grateful for everyone who is willing to join today. Thank you all so much for being a part of our webinar. So it is right at 3 o'clock on the dot. So we do have a couple of folks that will be trickling in. We'll give it about 2, maybe 3 minutes maximum for everybody to pop into the Zoom room here, and then we'll kick right into it. But thank you all so much for being a part of it. Once again, we'll kick off in about maybe 2, 3 minutes. So letting people trickle in, and then we'll get going. Thank you all so much for joining today. And hello again to those who are just popping into the Zoom room. Welcome to our Fire Resources webinar. We are very excited to bring this information to you, and we're grateful for our resource partners that are coming alongside us to do so. So we are just giving folks a couple of minutes to trickle into the Zoom room here. So we're going to get started in about another minute or so. So thank you for your patience as we let a couple more folks trickle in here. All right, I've seen a couple new folks trickle in. Hello and welcome. You are in the right place. I always like to start with that. I don't want anyone thinking they're in the wrong Zoom room. You're in the right Zoom room. This is the Fire Resources webinar. So thank you so much for joining. We're so excited to be presenting this information to you. We're going to take about maybe 1 more minute, and then we're going to jump into our presentation today. So about 1 more minute to let folks trickle in. And with that being said, you still have a chance to tell a friend. So if you know someone that you believe needs to hear this valuable information or wants to have some of these resources shared with them, this is a great chance to share the invitation link. Feel free to share with anyone who you feel may be impacted by this information. But of course, at the end of our presentation today, we will be sharing the recording and the slides with everyone so that you can continue to broadcast this information. But once again, you get one more chance to share it with everyone before we kick out today. About 30 seconds here, letting a couple more folks trickle in, and then we'll get us going. Thank you all so much for joining. We're so excited for this webinar today. Okay. Well, please know that I do respect everyone's time. So in the interest of time, we will be jumping right in. I'll be keeping an eye on the waiting room as well from my colleagues here, and we'll be letting folks in. But once again, thank you all so much for joining. This is a Fire Resources webinar that we are doing on today, February 13th of 2025. We here at Ampac Business Capital are an SBA lender, and we're excited to bring the SBA, the Office of Disaster Relief and Recovery, as well as FEMA together to bring you all of the resources that are available for fire recovery. So once again, thank you all for joining. And without further ado, we are going to begin. And it's still not too late to share with a friend. Just saying. I'm going to pop that link in the chat again. You want to share it with somebody, you know they want to get some good information about the resources out there, feel free to share it with them while we get going. All right? Awesome. So kicking off with a little bit of an agenda so everybody knows what our order of show and run of show is today. We're going to have a quick welcome and introduction. We're going to talk a little bit about Ampac Business Capital so you know who we are and what we do. And then we are going to go right in order. We're going to have the SBA present first so that you're aware of the resources that the SBA does have available and you have a good understanding of who your points of contact are as you aim to navigate working with the SBA and the partners available. We're then going to have a presentation from FEMA. And finally, we're going to have the Office of Disaster Relief and Recovery present resources available to you before we cover closing remarks. With that being said, welcome. We are excited to have you. our true objective with this webinar today is to make sure that information is reaching everyone who we can touch. We know that there's been a lot of disaster that's hit many business owners throughout this time of these wildfires. And the only way that we know how to help is to make sure that everyone's getting access to the information that is available. And so that is the purpose of our webinar today. It will not be the last webinar that we do. We will be doing another one as well. But we do want to make sure that we are presenting information that's helpful and, of course, valuable to you all as partners of us here at Ampac Business Capital and potentially future or past clients. So we do have a lot of important resources that we're sharing today, and we do want to make sure that everyone's able to take full advantage of them. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it to my colleague, Myron Perryman, to share a little bit about Ampac Business Capital, who we are and what we do.
Thank you, Brian. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to have the opportunity to support small business in our marketplace. And Ampac Business Capital, organized in 2005, it's been around 20 years. We're celebrating our 20th anniversary. And we are a nonprofit 501c3 mission-based lender authorized to do SBA loans under the federal SBA program. And we also are a CDFI and a CDC. So with those two designations, we can then leverage resources from the SBA and the federal government to provide capital and other technical assistance services. Our real mission here is to uplift communities, strengthen families, and advance entrepreneurial dreams. So as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you know the stress of it all. But given that, we provide two important things, financial capital and intellectual capital. In other words, information to how to succeed and support your businesses in this time. So we do various government supported loans, guaranteed loans. Our primary product that we started with is our SBA 504 loan, which is a commercial owner-occupied real estate loan that you can get up to 90% financing. So as your business grows and the cost of rent is getting exceedingly high, you can secure your own location, your own property to control the expansion of your business. But before you even get there, we have everything from microloans less than $50,000 up to $350,000 on various loan programs. And we do direct lending ourselves from our own financial portfolio. So with that being said, we'll kick it back and let our resource partners tell you what they have in store, what's available, how to get access to it, and help you recover from this disaster.
Thank you so much, Myron. Really appreciate that. And without further ado, we are going to kick it off to our SBA resource partners to discuss the SBA's role in fire recovery, available loan assistance programs, and loan recovery programs. With that, I'll pass it to you. Feel free to tell me when to pass it to the next slide.
All right. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Myron. Thank you for having me also. My name is Joni Cabral, and I am a lender relations specialist at the LA District Office. I'm just going to take a few minutes to talk about our standard loan programs. The standard loan programs are available to help start and grow businesses anytime, as long as you meet eligibility requirements. And on the other hand, the disaster loan programs are special purpose loans to assist businesses, nonprofits, homeowners, renters during a declared disaster. So I'm not going to spend too much time, but we do want to let everybody know about the resources available to them. So go ahead and next slide. So there are 68 SBA offices throughout the United States. There are 3 in Southern California, Los Angeles, Orange County, and San Diego. And we can help out with anything from access to capital, government contracting, or business counseling. So next slide. And these are the key contacts for the Southern California district offices. Myself, Joni Cabral, the Orange County, Ron Galati, and San Diego County, Cynthia Harris. And special thank you to Ron, who's answering questions in the chat. So if you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to put them in the chat. Next slide. Okay, so the SBA has several resource partners that can help advise businesses with all kinds of things from financial assistance, technical assistance, getting expert advice, or even starting a business plan. These are invaluable resources. They can help you with anything to help you and your business throughout your whole lifespan of your business. And you can use any of these links to find them. Also, if you go to the next slide, here are the websites and phone numbers of all of the resource partners in LA, in the SBA LA district office. All right, so I won't spend too much time because I know we want to leave a lot of time for the disaster programs, but just the basics of the SBA loan program is that SBA does not loan the money. A lender does. So we only guarantee the loan. So this reduces lenders' credit risk and allows lenders to sell the loans to manage its capital and profit. This also encourages them to lend to more borrowers. SBA's loan program provides funds to small business borrowers who do not qualify for a conventional loan, meet all SBA and lender guidelines, and seek to buy or grow a business. So to be eligible for a SBA loan, you would need to be an operating business, and you cannot be a nonprofit, so you would have to be for profit. You cannot be engaged in any speculative business practices or like marijuana or lobbying and things like that. You can visit our website to find more information on eligibility requirements. So our loan programs are combined of mainly three programs, the 504 loan, the 7A loan, and the micro loan. Under the 7A loan, we do have some subcategories, which include the Community Advantage Loan, SBA Express Loan, Export Loans, and Working Capital. Next slide. Okay, the most common loan is a 7A loan because of the flexibilities and the purposes. This loan can be up to 25 years with the principal and interest payments. The interest rate is negotiable between the borrower and lender and is based on prime. The maximum loan amounts are $5 million and Express Max is $500,000. So the SBA does guarantee this loan, and there are 0 SBA fees right now. So that is something that's good. The use of proceeds can be used for expansion, renovation, new construction, buildings, equipment, fixtures, and working capital. And then the SBA 504 loan program is used to finance fixed assets. So these are usually below market rate and is funded by Wall Street bonds. A certified development company is an economic development organization that has been authorized by the SBA to make loans under the 504 program, like AMPAC. The CDC works in partnership with a third-party lender and small businesses to process, approve, close, and service the SBA loan. So these are common use of SBA 504 projects. So, manufacturing, hotels, gas stations, franchises, and car washes, things like that. Okay, and so our microloans are offered by nonprofit lenders, and the maximum loan amount is 50,000. These loans are can be viable for businesses that do not meet the bank requirements. Uses can include working capital, inventory, supplies, furniture, fixtures, but not real estate. These rates are between 8 and 13%, and the terms up to 7 years. So post-loan counseling is usually required. So the steps to securing your loan. So I would say the first step would be to visit our website and look at all the information on there. We have lots of resources that you can look through to see what type of loan would be best for you. You can make an appointment with one of our resource partners, then they will help you develop your business plan and gather your financial documents, or even help with loan packaging if needed. Then they can talk to one of the lenders and explore their programs, qualifications, rates, and terms, etc. Or you can contact a lender relations specialist like myself for additional guidance. So I know that was a lot of information all really fast at once. So, our phone numbers are at the beginning of the presentation. So if you have any questions, you can definitely reach out to us. And when you go to the website, this is what it'll look like. So if you're looking for the disaster programs at the top, the first link at the top, you can click that link and it will send you to the disaster programs. And if you're looking for the other SBA programs, you would go to the funded programs and then loans, and you'd be able to see the loans that we just spoke about. Thank you. So that was really fast. I don't know if there's any questions in the chat.
No questions in the chat yet, but thank you so much, Tony. And we'll
Okay.
definitely be keeping an eye. And Ron's been putting a lot of great resources in the chat as well, you all. So hopefully you all are taking advantage of those. Thank you so much, Joni. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. And with that being said, we are going to continue in our program to our FEMA representative, Ms. Brandy Richard Thompson, who will be talking about FEMA's resources and their role in fire recovery and the available assistance programs as well. With that, passing it to you, Brandy.
Thank you so much. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for taking the time to join us today. My name is Brandy Richard Thompson, and I'm here representing FEMA. I'm the Public Affairs Officer for FEMA Region 9. I know that many of you, your families, and your colleagues have been impacted by the devastating wildfires. Okay. I am the press person. My apologies. Your colleagues have been impacted by the devastating wildfires here in Los Angeles. And so I want to start by saying that we recognize the challenges that you are facing and are here to support you. Today, we want to provide clear and actionable information about the assistance to help you recover. I'm joined by a key partner in this effort, Corey Williams from the Small Business Administration, who will explain how SBA disaster loans can support homeowners, renters, businesses, and nonprofits in their recovery. On the FEMA side, I'll be walking you through the different forms of assistance we provide, including individual assistance grants, which people are eligible to receive for this disaster. We offer transitional sheltering for those displaced and other financial support for things like home repairs, personal property losses, and critical needs. We also want to make sure you understand how FEMA works with insurance and what to do if you need additional help, because there are lots of questions about that. So let me go over a few areas of assistance that we have. I'll also place some information in the chat to help you to be able to explore these areas more. One is immediate financial assistance. To date, FEMA has distributed over $72 million in aid to wildfire survivors, helping with home repairs, personal property losses, medical expenses, and other urgent needs. If you have not applied yet, you can do so by calling 1-800-621-3362, visiting disasterassistance.gov, or using the FEMA app. For those who have been displaced, we offer transitional sheltering assistance, which covers hotel stays, along with rental assistance and lodging expense reimbursement for those whose homes are not habitable. FEMA disaster recovery centers are available in Los Angeles County, including locations at the UCLA Research Park West and Altadena, and I'll drop those into the chat as well. But you can go to FEMA.gov/DRC to find a location that's closest to you. These centers provide in-person support for survivors, including assistance with applications and replacing vital records, which we know is really important for people right now. The cleanup process is essential for rebuilding, and some of you will be on the front lines of helping people to rebuild. So the Environmental Protection Agency is managing hazardous household waste removal, and the United States Army Corps of Engineers is leading the debris removal efforts beyond what the EPA is doing, with $3 billion allocated to this entire initiative. Unfortunately, disasters often attract scammers, so please remember that FEMA never charges for applications or inspections, and always verify the identification of anyone claiming to represent FEMA. If you suspect fraud or identity theft related to disaster aid, you can report it to us immediately at our 1-800 number, 800-621-3362. You can also email stopfemafraud@fema.dhs.gov. We understand that the stress of recovery extends beyond financial loss, and you thrive on resilience. All of us do in our communities all across the country. So we know that you can't navigate this alone. So we've provided confidential mental health resources through the 988 Crisis Lifeline or the Disaster Distress Helpline at 1-800-985-5990, and that support is 24/7. The deadline to apply for FEMA and SBA is March 10th, 2025. We encourage you to apply as soon as possible to ensure you receive the help that you need. So with that, I will pause and answer any questions that you guys might have, or if we're turning it over to Corey first, and then we'll both answer questions, whatever works for you.
Works, Brandon. Awesome. I don't see any questions in the chat yet, so we will keep rolling. And if we see questions, we'll be sure to answer them as a team. So thank you so much. That is absolutely excellent. And Corey, we are on to you.
All right. Well, thank you so much. My name is Corey Williams, Public Information Officer with the U.S. Small Business Administration's Office of Disaster Recovery and Resilience. And it's an honor to be able to speak on this webinar here. And I think you're getting the slides up, Brian. Yeah, perfect. So good deal. So you can go ahead and go to the first slide here. Next slide right here. So the SBA offers disaster assistance loans to not only businesses of all sizes, but homeowners, renters, and nonprofits. Next slide. So this is for the wildfire and straight line winds incident, which began on January 7, 2025. As Brandy alluded to, the deadline to apply is March 10th, 2025. Now, if a business or nonprofit may have had economic injury only, the deadline to apply is October 8th, 2025. And I'll get to that a little bit later as far as the emphasis that we're pushing for the economic injury disaster loan. But the interest rates for homeowners and renters is as low as 2.563%. The interest rate for businesses is as low as 4%, and the interest rate for nonprofit organizations is fixed at 3.625%. Again, no cost to apply, no prepayment penalty, no obligation to borrow, and for a year, there's no interest accrual, and for a year, there's no payment that is due to the deferment. Next slide. So who can apply for the SBA disaster assistance loans? Again, we help out not only businesses of all sizes, but homeowners, renters, and nonprofits. Now, the declared disaster area for physical damage is Los Angeles County. However, if any nonprofit or business suffered economic injury, the economic injury loan goes to Kern, Orange, San Bernardino, and Ventura. Those four counties, again, are Kern, Orange, San Bernardino, and Ventura for economic injury disaster loans. Next slide, Brian. So, for renters, renters can borrow up to $100,000 to repair and replace disaster damaged personal property, which would include any automobiles and also cover insurance deductibles. Again, with the interest rates as low as 2.563%. Homeowners can borrow up to $500,000 to repair and replace disaster damaged real estate and up to $100,000 to repair and replace disaster damaged personal property, which would also include any automobiles, insurance deductibles, debris removal, which has been a point of conversation with a lot of the disaster, and then also relocation and refinance on a case-by-case basis. Next slide, please, Brian. Now, for business loans, businesses can borrow up to $2 million to repair and replace disaster damaged real estate, machinery, inventory, and equipment. But the most important thing that I emphasize during times of disaster for our businesses as well as our nonprofits is the need for working capital. And that's the purpose of the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, which provides for operating expenses such as meeting your payroll, monthly lease or monthly mortgage obligations, any accounts payable. And let me emphasize a couple of things on this slide. So many nonprofits, when you think about different, 501c3, there may have been a number of festivals for Black History Month, or there may have been some festivals that were scheduled in the month of January. Well, with that nonprofit, there's planning that goes into these events for months, sometimes years in advance, especially for annual events. So when those events are canceled, that creates an immediate economic injury to that nonprofit. So those are that anticipated revenue on that date. When that's not met, that is economic injury. And so even though the deadline to apply for economic injury is not until October 8th, 2025, myself and my fellow PIO, Marianne, we've noticed and I've been doing this for 19 years, so many times that business and nonprofits will wait till September or August or July. And they're like, oh, well, Corey, we've had drops in sales for the last 6 months, or we had to lay off our best employees because the books are tight, or we had this accounts payable that we've had for years that now has been canceled. Well, those are signs of economic injury. And that's why we are being proactive to encourage businesses and nonprofits to go ahead and apply early rather than later, because you can always request increases in loan amounts for up to 2 years from the date of your loan authorization agreement. Next slide, please. So also, in addition to the $500,000 for the real estate repair replacement for homeowners and the $100,000 for the personal property replacement, SBA also offers up to 20% of the total loss for mitigative measures for all perils. Now, this is a new regulation that allows us to protect not only from wind, tornado mitigation, flood mitigation, wildfire mitigation, even earthquake mitigation. So some of the homes that are in the Palisades where they might need more capital than the $500,000 to make them whole, if they are to present a mitigation plan to their case manager at our processing center in Fort Worth, Texas, this will allow extra capital up to that 20%, up to $500,000 for their total loss. So this will get them closer to being made whole and allow them to build back more resilient. Next slide. So to apply for the SBA loan, again, you can go to lending.sba.gov. However, while we have outstanding customer service representatives in both DRCs and UCLA, and also in Altadena, we have a disaster loan outreach center in Pasadena. We have a number of BRC business recovery centers. I would strongly encourage you to take advantage of visiting a center because you can get that one-on-one assistance from customer service representatives. Now, if you cannot get to a center, you can go to lending.sba.gov. And also, the deadline again to apply is March 10th, 2025. Now, the deadline again to apply for economic injury only is going to be October 8th, 2025. Now, once we have an application, just like Brandy mentioned, SBA is not going to charge for any inspection. So if someone is going onto your property, make sure that they show the proper credentials. And then also, once they complete the loss verification, the file will then be passed on to the loan officer at our processing center, who will recommend a loan amount. And then the loan officer to a case manager. That's where you will have that communication with someone in our legal department to handle the any kind of increases or modifications to your loan. Next slide. So to recap, for business loans, businesses can borrow up to $2 million, which is inclusive of physical and economic injury. Now, there is a situation in certain instances where a business or a nonprofit could be considered a major source of employment, which would allow us to go beyond the $2 million statutory limit. However, if they are not considered a major source of employment, the limit is $2 million. And again, for home loans, it's up to $500,000 to repair, replace disaster damage real estate, up to $100,000 to repair, replace disaster damage personal property, which would include vehicles, and then mitigation, which allows for an additional 20% of the total loss, up to $500,000 for homeowners. And we'll go to the next slide. And again, as I mentioned, we have customer service representatives that are staffed in all the disaster recovery centers alongside FEMA, operating under the same hours. And our customer service representatives can answer all loan program questions. They can also explain the application process and assist with completion of your application. And they can also assist with reconsideration or reacceptance. Like FEMA, a no is never a final no. An applicant that may be declined for an SBA loan has up to 6 months to apply for reconsideration. So it's very important that you make sure to read the letter from SBA as well as FEMA so you can properly appeal any decision. And a lot of times, it may be a situation where somebody's 5 or 10 points off from their credit score. So we actually have a team of our customer service representatives that are personally calling homeowners, businesses, nonprofits, and renters to turn that no into a yes. Next slide.
I just had to come off mute to say I absolutely love that phrasing. Turn that no into a yes. We're very passionate about that here at AMPAC, so I just had to throw that out there. Thank you, Corey.
Well,
Speaking my language.
I actually love that. I think I got that from one of my friends back in 2017 during Hurricane Harvey, Brian. So I always try to make sure I use that catchphrase. So if you have any information, if you'd like to get more information, you can go to sba.gov/disaster, or you can call our customer service center number, which is 800-659-2955. And again, if you can visit a disaster recovery center, a disaster loan outreach center, or a business recovery center, please, please, please do so, because you'll get that one-on-one attention and guide you through that entire process. And that's actually why I'm at the UCLA DRC. I'm actually meeting a business owner so I can personally kind of guide her to our customer service team so she can walk through the application. So that's what we do. We want to make sure we're here for the long run for you. And I just thank you so much for your time. And I'll pass back to you, Brian.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Corey. And these resources have been truly phenomenal. Well, you all have seen a lot of information in the chat as well, so I definitely want to refer to that. We had a couple of questions that I'm going to make sure have already gotten answered. One of the questions that came in that I think didn't get an answer, and I'll definitely put on the floor, from Gladys. She was asking is if the SBA or any other product will be issued for businesses indirectly impacted by the fires. She was notating that some restaurants are losing catering and event cancellations, kind of like you mentioned, Corey. So is there any response we can give to that one as well?
Yeah, and Brian, that's exactly the purpose of the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, to
Right.
provide those working capital for those that may have lost that contract or had
Yeah.
decreased sales. So that's what the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. And keep in mind, that's for Kern, Orange, San Bernardino, and Ventura, in addition to Los Angeles County. And I think there's another question about deadline. So again, the deadline to apply for both FEMA and SBA is March 10th, 2025.
Speaking of deadlines, I did see another question that came in about appeal deadlines for IA or IHP assistance. Are those the same deadlines there? I'm gonna come back to that slide that had those deadlines on it.
So IA or
Actually, maybe a little bit
IHP
different. I'm
is
going to
FEMA.
defer to Brandy on that.
Yeah, those are FEMA programs. So IA is individual assistance. IHP is the individuals and households program. And if you receive a letter from us on today, on the 13th, you have 60 days from the date of the letter to reply to us and appeal whatever decision that we share with you. So there isn't a deadline per se that is static, but 60 days from the date of the letter, you should have submitted whatever information we asked you to submit, or any questions that you have about that letter, in order for us to continue to review your file for that assistance.
And then I saw a follow-up question come in, and thank you, John. These are great questions. What is the limit for IA or IHP housing assistance?
Housing assistance is $43,600. That's the max grant. I don't know if I would call it a limit, because not everyone is going to get up to the maximum grant, even if their entire home was destroyed. And then for the, there's another category of assistance called other needs assistance, which includes your vehicle, personal property, any items that you would use for your business, like a camera or a computer that you need to use for your livelihood, really, as a business owner.
Right.
Those items can be replaced in that second bucket of money for personal property, other assistance, and that is a max grant of $43,600 as well. But if you are found to be eligible for rental assistance, which is one of the categories that would typically fall under housing assistance, that assistance doesn't count against your maximum grant. So you can get 18 months of rental assistance without it counting against your maximum grant amount for housing.
Huge. That's really good to know. Thank you for that. I have one more follow-up question from John. Keep them coming, John. I love it. He was asking, is the maximum for ONA calculated separate and distinct from the IA/IHP? Oh, no, we live in the world of acronyms. So, Brady, if you could re-explain
Yeah, you're
acronyms,
trying to
that'd
be
great.
too smart for me, John. Okay, so IA, individual assistance, or the Individuals and Households Program, has two components. One is housing assistance and one is other needs assistance. So they fall under individual assistance / IHP. So you have the acronyms correct, but those two grant amounts, 43.6 on the housing side and 43.6 on the personal property side, are the maximum grant amounts this year. They change each year.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. See, it's good to have smart people in the room. This is what it's about. It's about us connecting to share good information. So thank you. And then I have a question that came from Sabina. Do you have to register with FEMA in order to apply for the EIDL loan with the SBA? My business income has been affected, but not my physical home / location.
So we encourage everyone to register with FEMA and simultaneously apply for SBA. But to answer the question, no, it is not required anymore to actually register with FEMA. But what we want to be able to do is be able to get an accurate count of any business, any homeowner, renter, or nonprofit that may have been impacted by these devastating wildfires and straight line winds. So while we encourage it, it is not required to register with FEMA in order to be eligible for the SBA EIDL.
Thank you. And then we had a clarification come in. So you cannot get more than 43,600 total for both IA and ONA combined. Is that correct?
No. So
Okay.
I was just answering that. It's 43.6 for each,
Okay, perfect.
Hilda, and then the rental assistance is on top of that.
So, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let me make sure I didn't miss any questions. I know I don't want to miss any questions.
Brian,
And yes, come on in,
there,
Ron.
this is Ron. There was one in here that I'm not sure, maybe Corey could take a look at or answer. Is there a written description of an example or examples of the idle that's been described?
Yes. So what I would say is that what's on the PowerPoint, EIDL is working capital funds that can be used for mortgage expenses, lease expenses, accounts payable. And one thing I always kind of want to point out, so just to give you kind of a clear example, let's say we have a storefront business in the Palisades, a storefront restaurant, and they need to potentially temporarily pivot and get a food truck so they can continue to operate their business. Well, that's where the economic injury disaster loan funds can go. They can actually pivot towards the use of a food truck to go ahead and continue to keep their business operational during this recovery period. So the one thing that when it says it on our what's called our loan authorization agreement, it says economic injury disaster loan funds for working capital. So it's how the business owner, you as the business owner, you as a nonprofit, best see fit to use these funds to keep your business or nonprofit operational during this recovery period.
And thank you, Ron. I told you all, Ron is going to have my back today. I'm grateful. I really am. That's why you work with great people. Okay, I saw another question come in. Can you describe how the government will handle instances of fraud? I know some folks may have some flashbacks from the Payroll Protection Program, the Emergency Injury Disaster Loan during the pandemic. So I think I understand where this question is coming from a little bit.
There's always fraud after disasters. I think we have started to learn that it may come in different packages or what have you, but there's always fraud. So we just encourage people not to share their registration ID number with other people that don't need to have it. If an inspector reaches out to you for information about coming and looking at your property, like a FEMA inspector calling you from a cell phone number that you haven't seen before, which is likely, don't share information with them or volunteer information to them. Let them ask you questions. Let them tell you what they're reaching out to you for. But if for some reason you've applied for assistance and you find out that someone has already applied before you, that's the time that you need to reach out to us immediately so that we can deconflict your registration with that other person, because that can severely slow down and impact the assistance that you receive from FEMA. So you can either give us a call, but I'm really encouraging people to go to the Disaster Recovery Center, ask for someone in individual assistance who does that work regularly. Since y'all know all the acronyms, you should know that. And ask them to assist with your registration, because while we have great teams on the ground, we call them disaster survivor assistance teams that can register you and answer lots of questions. They cannot add documents to your file or, you know, sort things out, send something to a caseworker to fix something that's wrong. So you should go to the Disaster Recovery Center or give us a call at the 1-800 number.
Okay. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I would reiterate that fully, Brian, that ever since the COVID EIDL program, we've put a number of different mechanisms in place to prevent fraud. One, we have now what's called the login.gov, which is a two-step authentication to actually try to prevent fraud. But just like Brandon mentioned, it doesn't matter what, it's almost like when disaster strikes, fraud is going to come. So just be careful. You know, like I say, if anyone tries to come on your property and they do not have a government badge, or if they're saying we're going to charge $50 for this inspection, or you know, we are SBA certified as a contractor, all those unfortunately are lies, because SBA does not endorse contractors. SBA does not charge for inspections. SBA will always have badges when we come onto properties. So those are just small signs, especially what I really want to hone in, because my mom and dad, they're getting in that what we can consider elderly. And you know, you'll hear these contractors say, well, you know, I'm FEMA registered, I'm FEMA certified, I'm SBA certified. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. They need to be certified by their state or their county, and they have to have their appropriate licenses. They are not in any way under the SBA umbrella or FEMA umbrella if they are a contractor. So just want to give you those extra tidbits.
That is excellent, Corey. And these are the valuable nuggets that folks really need. We don't want anybody getting scammed. We don't want anyone getting exposed to any fraudulent claims. So please definitely take heed to the wisdom here. We have another great question, especially for our OCIE community that is represented here. If your business is in San Bernardino County, as an example, how does the business document the economic injury? As an example, for a restaurant, will they need to calculate the population of guests that may come from the burned area? How would that be calculated for them? Yeah.
So that's an excellent question, Brian. And what we use usually is projections, but we also are able to use the previous year's tax returns and monthly sales figures. So let's just say that in January of 2024, last year, the business in San Bernardino did $350,000 in business. Well, in January 2025, let's say they did 150. Well, now we know their books are off by 200,000, and then that allows our loan officers to be able to best project a loan so that we can go into February 2024. Let's say they did 500,000 as the year really started to pick up, but then this month in February they're on track to do 175. Well, now that's another 325 of economic injury. So that's why it's so important to go ahead and start that application process early, because again, they can always request increasing their loan amount for up to those 2 years.
That makes sense.
Corey,
Thank you.
If you don't mind if I jump in, this is Mary Ann. I am a colleague of Corey's. I would encourage a lot of small businesses to visit our resource partners who offer free counseling, and they can help prepare documentation to show those economic injuries as well. Sometimes it can get more complicated than just the tax returns, and they can also help with recovery planning, financial analysis, methodologies, and some other things. So take advantage of those, and I put in the chat how to find the one nearest you.
That's awesome. Really appreciate it. Okay. Are there any other questions that anyone has at this stage? We'll go on and stop the screen share. We do have a quick survey that we're going to drop in the chat here for folks to fill out. We do want to make sure that we're capturing good information and able to serve you all more intentionally as we go. So if there is no other questions, I'm going to drop this here in the chat.
Brian, can I make a quick comment or question?
Yeah.
It's kind of a question.
You
This
okay?
is Hilda Kennedy with AMPAC Business Capital. And I wanted to see if someone could speak to the opportunities for small businesses who are serving or can serve those impacted by the fire damage, if they have a fire recovery business or cleanup business, or if they're a contractor and they do different parts of the home contracting. Is there any advice that the local SBA offices or the disaster offices can give to a small business who wants to serve and their business has the credentials to be able to serve? What should they do?
So we have some information that we provide through our private sector liaison in Region 9 that can help people to just understand the process. And we also have events periodically. There was a small business event, a couple of them, a couple of weeks ago, where we talked about how small businesses could access opportunities as a result of the disaster. So send you my contact so that I can put you in contact with our private sector liaison, because the information for that I have is very long. It's not going to work in this chat. And it'll give you lots of insight on opportunities to be able to work with the government. And sometimes you need to have already prepared yourself for those opportunities. So many disasters that we're having as a result of what's going on in our world, that there are going to be opportunities moving forward, especially in the state of California.
Yeah, and we'd love to share those resources, Brandy. So thank you.
Hi, Hilda. We also have a contracting contact person at our district offices too, so I can send you that information as well.
That'd be wonderful. We think it's really important to get that information out to small businesses that have the resources. Maybe they are on the list, but they still don't know how to be part of the solution. And so that information would be really welcomed, and we'll get that information out to our network of small businesses so that they can serve.
Thank you, Johnny. Really appreciate that. Yeah. Okay. I see a couple more in the chat. Okay, John said, will there be any transportable temporary housing units, or does FEMA anticipate using other types of direct housing? That's a great question.
Do you work for FEMA? I'm like, who is this person?
John, you might have to introduce yourself after that one.
Yes, not yes to the question that there will definitely be those housing opportunities, but we have a long-term recovery housing team that's working along with state and local leaders to determine what that process will look like. It hasn't been fully fleshed out yet, so I'm not sure what options will be available for people, but I did see a news release today about the county focusing on housing residents. And so I would, if I were you, I would pay attention to press releases as they come out, both from LA County, City of LA, City of Pasadena, all of the impacted areas, to announce what programs they're working on, because they're all going to be a part of that long-term recovery group process, and will lead and determine what housing units and things are created. They tell us what they would like to do, and we just help to facilitate it. So I hope that answers your question.
Randy, that is helpful. And I will introduce, I will say John Groom is a small business owner who has done work in this FEMA space and has done some exceptional work in the space and has a lot of expertise. So could be part of the solution. So I'm really looking forward to getting that information so that we can share it and make sure that those businesses are able to have an opportunity to support these efforts.
Excellent. Okay. Gladys, we will get this presentation over once we bring together all we have a lot of information that we've got in the chat here, and we want to make sure to capture all the contract and resources as well. So we will be getting that over as soon as we pull everything together. And I know we are coming close to time, so I do want to be respectful of everyone's time. I'm going to drop the survey link in the chat one more time for folks to complete it. We want to make sure that we are doing as much as we can to serve our small business community and bring resource partners alongside us to do so. So we will be hosting a second webinar to facilitate this information sharing again. And we'll make sure to share that information and follow up with this event also. So please be on the lookout. We'd be very grateful if you all would share your responses and your feedback through the survey, and we'll look forward to continuing to bring this information to you. As we always like to say, we're here to uplift communities, strengthen families, and advance entrepreneurial dreams. So we're grateful to serve, and thank you to each and every one of our partners who've done so as well. Awesome. I agree, Gladys. We do need more people participating. Let's all share the news and get the word out so everybody can come and get the resources that are available. So thank you all so much for joining, and we will be sharing all the information supplementally. Okay. Awesome.
I appreciate that this was recorded, because then we will share it on our website, and we'll also share it on our YouTube channel, which is really important for another way to get the information out, as well as on our mobile app. People need to know the opportunities available. So thank you all so much.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Well, until next time, thank you all so much again for joining. And we hope you have a great day. Stay safe and take care. Bye-bye for now.